Moves it to half forward. There's May just gliding in from the side, putting paid to that. It's a ground ball in the 50. It favoured May. Puffed out the cheeks. He's on the run, Stephen May. Love it back. Higgins from the side and May.
Demons are undefeated. We just said in the ad break at winning habit, you ever get used to what Stephen May said? I never get used to that. He joins us in the studio. Great to have you. Enjoying the highlights of your good self there?
Oh, they weren't too good on the weekend, but no, it was good to get another win. As you said, Gaz, never going to get used to it. I'm just going to ride the wave while it lasts.
It's a great unknown. You don't know how you handle it until you get there, and the success that the Demons enjoyed late last year, the premiership comes, and then you go off into the pre-season, and I think everyone in the footy world goes, okay, does that take some of the hunger away? Does it mean something a little bit different now that you've got the medal when you've been after it for so long? But 8 games into the season, all those boxes or answers seem to have been ticked.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that in the off-season, in the media and such, but you've chased that feeling, like the feeling we had on during just to make the finals and then to win a final and then to win the grand final. You just want it again, and the fact that we did it over in Perth, and would love that opportunity at the MCG in front of our home fans. There's so much more to play for, and I suppose the belief that last year gave us coming into this season is the motivating factor. You put in all the hard work in the summer, and knowing that we can actually compete every week, and we can challenge, make the top 8 and challenge for another flag. And so yeah, everyone was rocked up, ready to go day one.
How much has your opinion of what it means to be an AFL footballer changed since you arrived at Melbourne? Because you're at the Gold Coast for a while, and you probably had a perception of what this is what it's like to be an AFL footballer. Now you're playing at the MCG with Melbourne in a team that's undefeated. How much is what you think it should or is changed?
It's funny, Rui. I used to watch. I always still do watch Friday night footy every week, and my whole career up at the Gold Coast, I never played a Friday night game or a Thursday night game or anything like that. So it used to sort of be like a goal, like to be one of those teams playing on the big stage each week. And now that I think my first few games was Wednesday, Friday, Thursday. Like we had our first Sunday game on the weekends around 8. So it does feels pretty cool, to be honest, that to be talked about as some of the best teams in the league. And I suppose on the Gold Coast, I understand that we were a new franchise, a new team, and we always got talked about as being developing, and we'll be good in 5 years and we'll be good in 3 years. And it took a long time, and then to come to Melbourne and in our first year finish second last, I was a little bit like, oh, damn.
Did you look at Tommy Lynch that year and think he pulled the right rein, I pulled the wrong rein?
Oh, bloody Tommy Lynch wins the flag the first year, and I sort of thought he took the easy option going to Richmond, but I believed in the squad that we had at the D's, and we had a few things we had to get right, and once it sort of, I think the back half of the hub, we started playing good footy, and we went to Cairns and lost 2 winnable games, which is a hard place to play, as your Saints found out last week, Rui. So that gave me enough confidence in the group to really attack 2021.
The defence has been lauded, mate, which you're the captain of, I think, when you look down on the field from the outside. But you are a barker, mate. Was that naturally, which I love, and you need that? Are you always that way? Is that just your personality, or you thought this is what needs to happen for us to get anywhere as a defence?
Yeah, the boys probably joke a bit about I'm a bit of a perfectionist. For example, in the grand final, we're up by 60-odd points, and I was spraying Petrarca with like 3 minutes to go. And
he's on about his 38th touch.
Yeah, and he was telling me to chill out, we've won. But that's just sort of how I am. Like I play every contest like like it's my last. I don't. If I've won 5 contests and my opponent wins one, I don't keep score. I always go to the next contest, and I think I drive that, and I've had to work on that at Melbourne. When I first got down there, I was probably a little bit too over the top, probably a bit too demonstrative, I guess, with the way I spoke. But I found a happy balance, and the boys sort of know when I lose my cool a bit, it's because I care and I just don't want to concede another goal. And you'll probably see me barking a fair bit when we concede goal in the last minute of a quarter, because I sort of say, put the scoreboard to bed now. We're going to get through to quarter time, and someone kicks a goal. So Harry Petty's funny. I cracked it when Tim Membry marked it in the last 10 seconds.
You made up for it.
And then Pets touches it on the line.
It.
So I ran up to him. I said, "You're so lucky." So,
It's not just his teammates that he barks at. He's one of the world's great talkers to the opposition. Oh, he used to drive me insane, just wanting to have a conversation in the middle of the game. I'm trying to play a game of footy, mate.
The tactic?
I tried. Well, to be honest, in my first couple of years, I was playing on Nick Riewoldt, right, and Jonathan Brown as well. I got the back end of his career, so I was a bit starstruck, and so I didn't really know what to say. So I said, "Hey Nick, how are you?" And he is just the most switched on, like wouldn't even know who
Arrogant,
I was. He wasn't arrogant. He was just switched on, and he had a job to do, and he wouldn't have known who I was. And I'd try and say like, "Hey mate, why don't you talk to me?" And I'd say all this stuff, but it was hard to get anything.
You would have given him the leg rope, wouldn't you? You would have let him go up the field.
Back those days, we played one-on-one defence. So you imagine being 19, 20, trying to run around with a bloke who runs 16 k's a game, playing one-on-one defence. It was a death wish. I hated it.
So thank God for the zone. In comes the zone, and then you go, "Hey, Harrison, take him on the way out, will you?"
It doesn't seem to happen as much these days, does it? You know, that one-on-one. So we watch from the outside, and obviously we're old school and we love matchups, but how often, out of the 22 rounds, how often would you be set for a specific matchup?
It depends on the opponent. So this week, Max King, it was a go everywhere with him, come off with him type setup because he's a gun and he can win games off his own boot. And a couple of times I went off him on the week and kicks a goal. So there's no I feel responsible for that. But if we like a couple of matchups, we will probably play a little bit. Rather than playing a whole zone, we sort of play like a back three and a front three. So, the deeper guys, we trust each other playing on them. But, I wouldn't hand over Max King with Jake Bowie. It's got to be like a Harry Petty or a Jake Lever. So we haven't had too many of those. Norton, Wright, all those sort of big guys I'll usually have to play on. For example, like Jaden Hunt had Jack Higgins, so he had to follow him everywhere. So
did a good job too.
Yeah, Hunty's done some really good jobs this season. So.
It becomes the greatest compliment when opposition teams start talking about how can we get around Stephen May, how can we get through here, how can we... So we watched Hawthorn last week, so you can talk us through this. Maybe we were looking too hard, but it would appear from a Hawthorn point of view that they were trying to get in behind you really early in the piece, that whether it was Lynch on Max or in this was one of the first plays. All of a sudden Gunston is back 25-metre goal side. Was that something that you sort of picked up pretty quick, or...?
Yeah, you can sort of tell when you go to them in the deep forward 50, and as soon as you go to them, they walk up to the 50-metre line, and I'm thinking, where's Gunston going? So it is a bit of that cat and mouse, I guess. Is Gunston going to take me high, or is he just playing high this week? Is he doing it because of me, or is it their structure? So you got to sort of suss that, and they did pretty well taking me up the ground and getting Joel Smith deep, who's a really good deep defender, and then Wingard takes a couple of marks. So it kind of looks like it's working for them, but to Chad's credit, he took a couple of really good marks on the lead. So I suppose it is, as you said, is a great sign of respect that if that is what they're doing, or is that just what we're thinking. Yeah. But I love to be involved in the contest and that. So the longer the ball's going outside and I'm over here, I'm hating it. And I'm sure Gunston was hating it. They're key
too
forwards.
Much away.
Yeah.
For God's sake, man.
No. But I mean, the key forward, if he's not involved, his job's to kick goals and take marks. So I'm sure he's not loving it either. But each team plays it differently. And there's not just me. There's Jake Lever, Harry Petty, guys like that who can intercept the ball well. So you can't defend them all.
Hey, Steve, your first year at Melbourne wasn't a great one for you personally, was it? You were heavily criticised about the way you presented, and people called you overweight and unfit and all of these sort of things. Do you think that was fair at the time? And how much have you changed since then? Or is it playing in a successful side means that the perception from the outside that wasn't right anyway just changes because you're a part of a really successful group? No,
definitely. I suppose my own sort of standards on what I thought was acceptable in terms of skim folds, time trials, that I had for a while. You sort of get used to it. Well, I weren't good enough. Yeah. They weren't, astronomical. I'm talking like 5 mil skim folds. Yeah. It wasn't like I was 90 skim folds or anything like that. It was just that, and then I got injured. I I ripped both my groins off the bone, and then that came back to me being unfit at the start of pre-season, which I was, but then I got fit by the time I did rip my groins, and that wasn't on the back of me trying to do too much work to catch up. So it all had an effect, and no doubt, like I'm as fit as I've been, running as good as I have. So no doubt I learnt, I suppose we call it the Melbourne way, like the way, I don't know how every other club trains, but at our footy club, a lot of our high profile players, they train every session, they train as hard as anyone. And I sort of just cruised through a bit and feel my way through the team in the pre-season, and got a rude awakening when I couldn't sort of keep up, I guess. And then I did a lot of extra work trying to get my body in the right shape, and then my body broke down in round 2. So you know, it was a wasted year. Thankfully, it was a year that we had a bad year as a club, and we got a nice draft pick, and you know, we were able to attack the year after and start fresh. But those habits I learned in that first year, the criticism probably was a little bit over the top to the way they made me sound like I was obese, and you know, I was gobsmacked. But it all just has a flow-on effect. If you're not winning, and conversely, as you said, if you are winning, maybe some of those things get brushed under the carpet. But Simon Goodwin he's really strict on skin folds, so. I think we have them this week actually. So he doesn't care how we're going. If we've won 16 in a row or 14 in a row, whatever it is, he has his little standards that he maintains.
Ran past you. I was doing the pre-game yesterday with Kath Lochnan, and watch you boys run through the banner and come past, and you just struck me as a very relaxed team, a team on top of your game. Is that just because you've got enormous self-belief? Because if I was at the races and I was looking at you in a Manning yard, I would have gone back and had an extra few bucks on you. I just thought you looked like you're just waiting for the 2 hours of the game, and then anything outside of that, you just relax. So is that a conscious effort or just a thing you've developed with the self-belief?
I definitely think it's self-belief. We go through, as every team does, a few key stats on, for example, what St Kilda do well, and then match them up with what we do well, and if we can execute, stats say we'll win the game. And it's very tense. Everyone knows they need to execute their role. Everybody knows, we need to be a good teammate. And then all of a sudden, the Goody has this great ability of like telling a joke or doing a funny video or something like that. And so we're all fired up, ready to go. Yeah. And then he sort of ruins the mood. But I think what he does is everyone just takes a deep breath, and then we jog out and start. So even Tommy Mack, he did the pre-game speech on the weekend because of his milestone, and it was probably the best one of the year. Sorry, Gorney, but it was really good. So I think that self-belief in our fitness, but also in the coaching staff, and obviously winning the flag, your ability. Probably goes a long way.
Last one before we let you go. We love having you on because you're just honest and you answer the questions. The little champ, Jake Bowick. Now, have you pulled him aside and said, listen, this is not the way it is. You just can't keep winning forever. You're 14 on the bounce.
I've said this I said this probably after 7 in a row or something. I said, you do not understand how hard this game is. Do not take this for granted. And he's just looking at me like, yeah, all right. But he actually doesn't. And who knows when his first loss is going to come. It'll come at some stage. It's impossible to keep winning, but he's just loving life. He kicked a goal a few weeks ago. He's won a flag. He's starting to really develop as a sort of leader. He's become a stoppage specialist. He plays up around the stoppage and knows what's going on. For a guy who's only played, I don't even know how many games he's played. 14 games, all wins. He's going to be a great player for us for a long time. As you are. It is great to have you from a Melbourne point of view. It's great to have you in the Melbourne Footy Club side, and your form's been sensational. You're a fantastic ambassador for the Footy Club, and continued success. Thanks, Gaz. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me. Stephen May joining us on the couch. We'll be back with Good, Bad, Ugly.